It feels like Jayson Shaw, though we talk about his unpredictability, has moved up a level over the last number of months with that win in Hanoi. Had a good World Masters as well, including an impressive win from well behind against Shane Van Boening.
Jefrey Roda wins the leg.
The World Championship is not a tournament in which Jayson Shaw has the sort of record you would expect for a player of his quality. He's perhaps never come in, though, particularly after that win in Hanoi,
Jefrey Roda
looking better equipped. But it's Jefrey Roda to start us off.
Foul shot.
Well, if nerves are high, ball in hand's the best way to start with those nerves, and that's what we're going to see here from Eagle Eye.
Please start the clock.
Yeah, and Jayson had an incredible Moscone Cup as well, which is high pressure, and not quite the dollars we as here, but still quite a few dollars, but no more pressure in any event, it seems, than the Moscone. And just really look for a lot of players to shine here this week.
It's hard for us to notice when Shaw has a great Moscone, isn't it? Because it's just become par for the course now over the last number of years that he turns up there and shines. Well, 35 years of age, from Glasgow, been based in the US for some time and ranked number 5 in the world. By far and away the best British player of the last decade or so. There used to be a lot more top British players at the highest level, but so many of them have just faded away. A lot of them still playing, but a lot further down the rankings, and some of the familiar names not involved anymore. But he endures and has been the absolute standard bearer for the British game, even though he is now based on the other side of the Atlantic, and has been talking recently about moving to this part of the world. I think he is considering relocating with his family to Dubai.
Yeah, flew through Dubai coming here to Jeddah, and haven't been there in 20+ years, and what a city that has changed. Jayson, you're going to see him, not only the stroke and the technique, but a very nice flow around the table, and travels with his wife and children. They're on a long trip. This is the start of a 2-month trip here for him on this side of the world. And I think him staying in the States, though, has really kept him in that that game or that type of game that maybe some of the British players have fallen off at times.
So Jefrey Roda scratched off the break, and Jayson Shaw took care of matters from there very swiftly. He's into a 1-0 lead in his opening match of this World Championship campaign. I was telling you about another very experienced British player, Chris Melling. He was 8-3 up on Daniel Guttenberger. These are the winning moments for Melling. He's closed it out by 9 racks to 3. Finishing with the 8-9 carom. Always got plenty to say for himself, Chris Melling, having a chat with his vanquished opponent. And he will now go through to play Aloysius Yap, who's also won in the last few moments against Mubarak Al-Wahaibi by 9 racks to 3 as well.
Yeah, Michael, if you win that first match, you put yourself in a great position to get to that final 64. You only need 1 out of the next 2 to qualify. Not going to be the road for some of the players, but a nice one to get a win to get started.
Well, it's much more elite than the other big field events. The Open tournament, it's always 256. Here, it's only 128. So, as you say, 1 win, you're already in winner's qualification. But of course, flip side of that is you're far more likely to have tough matches early on because it is such an elite event.
Jayson Shaw to break, leading 1 rack to 0.
I think this shot right here also a little separation for Jayson when it comes to others. Almost all will play the cut break, trying to make the 1 in the side, but there's all different styles and speeds you'll see throughout the tournament. Former champion Kopi Ni down 7-5. Drama on that table, of course.
Yeah, battling to hang on there against Jeffrey Ignacio. Winner of that, as it stands at the moment, looks like playing Roland Garcia, former runner-up. But Nicolas De Leon is hanging on in that one as well. It's now 8-6.
Yeah, caught it a little heavy. Little surprising that still hung early on the tournament. The pockets will definitely become much tougher as days go on.
Oh, just when he looked to be building up an early head of steam, disappointing miss on the 2. So Roda comes to the table, and I've been saying earlier on in the coverage, players who come to these tournaments from the Philippines are always very good players, and Roda part of the next wave of Philippines players coming through, obviously led by the likes of Anton Raga. But just as I'm building him up, bit of a challenge to face here.
Yeah, he's falling nice and natural on this bank with the green 6 over the left corner, so should get this. Oh, he's banked it way short. A little timid.
He looks really anxious out there.
Yeah, you can see a little tap of the chalk, couple taps of the chalk, so got to understand there's going to be some early misses. More now than like future matches.
And of course Shaw straight to the table to deposit that ball. He will have spotted obviously that his opponent has got a little bit of early anxiety, and he will want to pounce on that and add to it.
Yeah, Worth. Of course we have 2 streaming tables in the main table here. And these haven't been played on near as much, and that's the difference with experience in that shot where Roda ended up short on the purple 5. Got to understand how the ball reacts on certain shots, and of course the Philippines, very humid conditions, and they learn how to grip the ball off the rail a little bit more, where here you have to let it roll a bit more naturally. That'll build some confidence there. Anytime the ball's near the rail and you have to come with a draw stroke, it can easily be missed.
Did miss the 2 from distance early
Jayson
in this
Shaw
rack, but
wins the
otherwise
rack.
it's pretty much perfection so far from Jayson Shaw. Looks to have built a bit of rhythm already, and he's also built a 2-0 lead. Kwo Po Cheng, former runner-up, now on the hill at 8-4 against Skylar Woodward. Your successor, Jeremy, as US Mosconi Cup captain. And that match we were keeping an eye on table 12, Nicolas De Leon, still hanging on against Roland Garcia. He's got another one back now, so that's 8-7.
Yeah, Nick has really improved his game being here on the World Nineball Tour. Has come a long ways in a couple years, and definitely a threat at any match. He's just so talented.
So this is what's going on over on table 1, another match we've been keeping you regularly up to date on. Ko Pin-Yi at the table, World Masters champion last year. Former winner of this, but rare signs of frustration from him.
Yeah, and it's not the miss. The stroke wasn't its best. He got a little quick, almost desailed on the 1 ball bit.
Rack 3, Jayson Shaw to break,
So feeling
leading
the
by
heat
2
early.
racks to 0.
Yorkshireman Julian Roper, you heard there, is our referee.
I think if anything, or as much as anything, let's say, gets kind of Jayson a little more mental is the break shot itself, which is very common with the players, but I see Jayson maybe a little bit more than others at times.
Push out called.
Can't push out very far here. This is a very cuttable ball. Not saying he had a
Jayson,
whole lot
it's
of
your
places,
choice.
but I doubt he gets this back, Michael. I mean, that 1 is a couple inches off the top rail and very, very pocketable to the upper right.
An event like this, particularly the opening day, presumably a lot of viewers new to the game. So just explain to us once again, Jeremy, what the push out is all about.
Yeah, the push out is only after the break. You have to declare push out, but say right there how Jefrey didn't have a shot. It's the only time in the game, if as a breaker when making a ball or the incoming player after a dry break, you can declare push out and push the cue ball anywhere you want on the table. And then the incoming player has the option to either take the shot or pass it back. A very crucial and important part of the game, especially at the highest level. I thought it was a pretty weak push out myself, but that's where we've seen the nerves get people as much as anything, I think, Michael, is making decisions on the push out.
Now that's something else that anyone new to the game might need a bit of explaining. The lowest valued ball left on the table is the 3. It wasn't the ball Shaw potted, but it was the first ball he struck. Therefore, the pot is legal and keeps him at the table. And if you're really unfamiliar with the game, the winner of every rack is the player who pots the 9, irrespective of what's gone before. Which, when you say that to people for the first time, it doesn't make a lot of sense to them. You see it in action, particularly at this level. You understand how that all works. But everything's working for Jayson Shaw at the moment. He knows his opponent isn't settled yet. He's been given opportunities.
Yeah, just like that 3-8 kiss shot that he played there with the 8 hanging. What Michael's saying is you can do the same. Let's say the 8 ball was the 9 ball, and that would be a winning shot. I know he's called Eagle Eye for a good reason. One of the straightest shooters on the planet, in my opinion. Got to watch him knock some in on the 6x12 in Scotland, and that was super impressive. But I've always labeled him as a bulldog.
Jayson Shaw
he's just,
wins
he
the rack.
wants to settle in, and he wants to get in the grease. He wants to fight.
Dry break from Jayson Shaw, but he still won the rack. In fact, he's won all of the first 3. Jayson Shaw is one of the most prominent names in the game not to already be engraved on that World Championship trophy. He's off to a flyer in his campaign this year. He's won all of the first 3 racks. Dominant so far against Jefrey Roda. Roland Garcia, incidentally, who was 1 match away from winning the championship himself 7 years ago, is through. He's
Rack
beaten
4,
Nicholas de
Jayson
Leon
Shaw to break.
9-7.
By 3 racks to 0.
Alexander Kazakis, who's been a semi-finalist in the World Championship before, is 8-6 up on Bezar Spahiu.
Yeah, he didn't have a dry break on the first, but has missed the 1 each of the first 3 racks. Yeah, he didn't win the lag, but surprised he didn't change it up a little bit. I know he's won the first 3 games, so it's hard to really argue that point. Why change? But he had a design on the break shot coming into this match, but he's got all kinds of different breaks he can use. And though up 3-0, a dry break definitely hurts against a player like Jefrey Roda. Yeah, that was pretty tight. I think he did have a clear path to the pocket. Maybe he was trying to use a bit of the side rail, but at that speed, these 4-inch pockets aren't going to take anything like that if you rub the rail.
Just a classic case of not being able to get a foothold in the match so far, but that was an opportunity for him to do so. I'll give you one other result. Kwo Po Cheng, another player who's been to the final of this championship before, has beaten Skylar Woodward by 9 racks to 4.
Yeah, a little surprised. He got down quickly, and I understand the decision, but you still want to look around there. He had a pretty free bank at the 1 in the upper right, and could have held position on the 2. Haven't seen Jefrey play a ton. Maybe he likes to play fast, make quick decisions, but I try to utilize that clock a little bit. Now Jayson has a few options here. He can bank the one back down, kind of going towards the 8 with the cue ball. Got quite a bit of cover. Didn't get the snooker, but of course putting the 1 in a tough position.
Roda, 24 years of age, 89th in the world.
That's a better strike.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier he's part of that new wave of Philippines players. Anton Raga obviously at the forefront of that, so nearly won the European Open last summer. You can also mention the likes of James Aranis and Johan Chua, but they're both significantly older now. And behind them, this whole new generation of Philippines players.
See how well he did with the cue ball. Jayson looking to go up table and back. Now maybe looking to, you know, make the rack more difficult, maybe replacing another object ball, just surrendering ball in hand and hoping that Jefrey can't clear the table. Of course, the guy who's looked nervous so far, Jefrey, you know, ball in hand is the kind of shot that can settle you in, because you're going to figure to get 2, 3, 4 maybe easy balls to get started. It's going to be close. Yeah, very good hit and well worth the risk. Another part of the game, tactically speaking, and that's what kick shots are all about. Jayson doesn't get enough credit. He's really come a long ways in that department. Somewhat like Joshua Filler. I wonder if he put some speed on this. Oh, he's going cross. I thought he would follow the path of the 1. He's going to try and kick this in the side, maybe get some separation. Good effort.
Roda has been to the last 32 of a couple of big matchroom events. Recent months at the Hanoi Open back in October, which Jayson Shaw won and reached the last 32 stage, beaten by Fedor Gorst. And got to that stage again at the UK Open just a few weeks ago. Lost to Tobias.
Wow.
Beaten in the last 32. Sorry, JJ.
Well, I was just going to say, if you look at the 8 from the overhead we just had, didn't look like the 1 even passed. I thought he had to use the 8 to pocket the 1. But now in prime position on a little combination, he's got to pay a little attention to, just because he's a hair off angle, may lose the 2 ball here.
Yeah, just to complete what I was saying, it was Tobias Bongers who knocked him out in the last 32 of the UK Open. Bongers having knocked out Jayson Shaw in the round before that, so I think Jayson alluded to that in his interview. They could have played each other in Telford a few weeks ago, these two.
Talk about a nervy shot that's got to be hit lightly. Yeah. Early in the event, especially with a few mistakes, those are the types that that are probably the most unsettling. And you got to give it to Bongers at the UK Open. He beat a lot of great players and really kind of made his name there at the UK Open.
Yeah, ended up in the quarterfinals.
A nice touchy one there with maximum inside spin. You know, and Jayson's kind of style around the table, of course, is what makes him the entertainer he is on the pool table, and of course a superstar. But if you ever get to spend a lot of time with him, which I have, you know, away from the tournament and whatnot, he really is a sensitive guy in the manner that he wants it so bad. I mean, he really does want to win big tournaments, big titles. That's what it's all about for Jayson.
I think we saw that perhaps more than ever at the Premier League last year in Leicester when he was in the final. And I don't think I've ever seen anyone look so devastated to lose a match as he was after finishing runner-up to Francisco Sanchez Ruiz. Although that said, Alban Ocean ran him a close second in Hanoi after he lost to Shaw. He was inconsolable at the end, went off into a quiet corner.
Well, you're in my brain early here in this tournament, Michael, because I was about to bring up the same thing about that Hanoi Open final. And I think more than anything, when that one for Alban, it's how it started and how the scoreline was and how it changed.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the scoreline. Shaw was struggling at the start of that final, but hung in and just steadily, gradually turned it around. He'll be defending that title in, what, about 4 months from now. Let's look now at some of the winners. Conrad Yasuchin was the first winner of the championship about an hour or so ago. Lee Van Corteza. Kyle Amoroto, very good player. He'll be playing Francisco Sanchez Ruiz next. Oliver Shalnocki, former semi-finalist, got through without losing a rack. There you see the defending champion FSR. Lucius Yap, Chris Melling, Roland Garcia, I was just telling you about. And that defeat for Skylar Woodward against Kwo Po Cheng. So, just look at those two faces. Shaw looking focused, competitive. His young opponent looking quite unsure of himself out there. Roda's had those last 32s in the big matchroom events. Also last 16 in the Perry Open, just before the Hanoi Open. And
Jayson
really it was much the same field
by 4 racks
that he was up against there. So a player of real quality struggling here. And still that one won't go in for Shaw, JJ.
Yeah, and this is the table you win the tournament on. This is the one you make your dollars and possibly hold that trophy. So a little alarming early. But after the break, it's been pretty pure for Shaw so far. So some bright lights there. You know, you got 64 seeds in this event, of course, and 64 drawn into those seed matches. We'll see some upsets, even though those 64, the latter 64, a lot of great players, but it is a shorter race here in the first few rounds, race to 9, which does add the pressure of getting to that qualification.
Yeah, once we get to the single elimination final 64 from Thursday onwards, race to 11 all the way, except the final, which has been increased to 15, and I think that's absolutely the right thing, isn't it, JJ? Because they've all been raced to 13 over the last while. The World Championship should stand out.
Yeah, and what we see, if you really pay attention, and nothing going right for Jefrey as a whole here, maybe taking that for granted. Maybe the 8 was a little concerned, getting the 3 by the 8, but he's got to make a nice kick shot. Should hit it, but does he get the snooker? Yeah, and you know, races to 9 I think can do it as well, but we'll see with the races in the 11 and certainly 15, the chance of having, you know, 2 halves in the match per se. And you know, just like in golf, you have a front 9, back 9. Other sports, you have that break where things can turn around.
Called.
And we see it a lot in 9-ball pool. Just have to maintain, that's the main thing. Stay positive.
So passed up his earlier chance, back to the table with another one, and really has all the look of an opportunity he really can't afford to pass up. Opigny is still battling away there against Jeffrey Ignacio, as you can see over on table 1. He's 1 behind now at 7-6.
Well, I guess the 13th rack was a very long one. It was 7-5 for some piece there. A lot of tactical play there in the 13th rack.
As though Ignacio could be about to get to the hill here. Copigny, the champion, remember, 9 years ago. Playing Van Bonin in the final.
Tell you, I watched Filler practice a couple different times. I was thinking about players that won this title, and it's been a while. It's been a bit for Filler as well. He looks very, very focused. Oh, Ignacio, you could see on the split screen, landed a little on top of the 9. I don't know if he has an extension or no shot clock there, but take his time there on the 9.
Jefrey Roda wins the rack.
So, Jefrey Roda, at the second time of asking, has managed to win the 5th rack. Broken his duck. Jayson Shaw didn't get away with the dry break this time, so it's now 4-1. Another winner to tell you about is Alexander Kazakis, who, as I said, has been a semi-finalist in this championship before. He's seen off Bezar Spahiu of Albania by 9 racks to 6 and will now play Levan Corteza. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Ignacio has indeed made it to the hill against Ko Pin Yi at 8-6. So again, if you're not familiar, it's double elimination. Losing your first match these early days does not send you out of it. You do get a second chance. But of course you do want to get through undefeated because it improves your prospects, theoretically anyway, in terms of the draw you'll have then in the last 64. We've seen Shane Van Bonen actually be an example of that a couple of times in recent events where he's had to come through the loser's side, has made it, but has then ended up with a tough draw in last 64, last 32.
Rack 6, Jefrey Roda to break.
You can
Trailing
look
by 4
back
racks to 1.
just kind of do the math, Michael, that you consistently come through to qualification from the one-loss side. You're going to draw tougher throughout the year, that's for sure. Maybe not an individual tournament or two, but definitely overall. And Shaw's got to be happy to see Jeffrey also struggling with the break. So many Filipino names. The one that I kind of fancied for this week just because he breaks the ball so well. And I think when it comes to nerves, he's starting to really handle it better. And I saw him cueing even better than he does, which is hard to do, is James Aranis. Really like his chances to make a deep run this week.
And no country has got more players in the field for this championship than the Philippines. Ali is from Eritrea, and they're playing for the right to play the winner of this match.
All right, he's going to have to screw the cue ball here. Can he go around the 7 maybe with a high ball? You have to draw off one cushion. Like high English is okay. Now you can see the green 6 pinned down below the 9, so getting on properly on the 5 here, the purple 5, very important. So he's going to have to come across as well. For Jeffrey, not bad though. This brown 7 up the table, not too far away from the upper corner. So he wants to stay away from the cushion if he can when coming across. Pretty nice, making sure he gets that big bounce. Now he has options.
We talk so often about how you want to get your first rack on the board to settle into a match. Well, he's the embodiment of it here. He looks totally different in his manner around the table now.
Going to go forward, simply 2 rails to the center of the table. And stunned it. That's surprising. I don't understand that at all. Trying to get the most out of it. The most wasn't necessary. Now he's gotten himself badly out of position. again, when he, especially early in the tournament, you know, obviously all these players haven't settled in. I think they'd all admit it. But it's not about what you want to do, really, Michael. It's about what needs done in these positions. And a bit of an error there mentally, I think, more than physically. All right, he's not going to get the snooker he wants. Maybe awkward cueing for Eagle Eye, though. And he definitely has that. Don't think he plays at this. I think he chops the 7 to the right side rail, trying to run the cue ball back for safe. He's got a little margin for error for that. Oh, beauty. Whether he gets the snooker or not, he deserves it. Very nice hit. Now very difficult to play that same safety, chopping on the brown 7, running in the cue ball. Both the scratches are there in the upper corner, so we may see something special here. Could bank the brown 7 back by the 9, but I think you're going to see him maybe go for this. Speed's okay. May get the 7. No, it's going to slow up.
He's starting to feel like these could be big moments in the match. Roda having got a foothold, as I said, a chance to get back to only 4-2, which feels like a proper contest again. He loses the rack. Shaw can get comfortable once more at 5-1, but it's Roda with the chance here. Powering in the 7, looked at the cue ball a little anxiously, but it's okay. In fact, it's more than okay, because he's nicely on the 9. Couldn't get into it at all early on.
Jefrey Roda wins the rack.
Now 1-2 in a row. He's back to 4-2 behind against Jayson Shaw. The opening night, not just of the 2024 World Championship, but of a 10-year partnership, which has brought this event to Saudi Arabia, and that's the fan zone outside. As you can see, that's all adding to the atmosphere. We've never seen anything like that at an event before. Jeremy, you've been out for a look around?
Oh, it's been awesome here. Like I said, everything, no spared expense, it seemed like, and spared no expense, and just an incredible setup here. People have been incredible as
rack
well.
7, Jefrey Roda to break, trailing by 4 racks to 2.
Having trailed 4-0 not so long ago.
I'd say took a little speed off there, though. Did pocket the 1. That's got to be a good feeling. Made another odd ball. Don't know if he has a look at the blue 2 or not.
Some scores to update you on. Denis Graba of Estonia, 1 away from victory now, 8-4 against Talal Al-Blushi. Naoki Oi, who's been a semi-finalist in this championship before, was 4-0 down to Daniel Maciol, who pushed Alban Ocean so hard in this championship in his home country of Poland last year, but is now 4-all in that one. Jeffrey Ignacio still looking for another rack, 8-6 up. That match we've been keeping a close eye on against Ko Pin Yi.
And I think Ko Pin Yi may have gotten a rack back just now. Looks like he's on the breaking end from here, so anyway, so it could be 8-7. We'll get an update shortly. That's a prime example. He was expecting that cue ball to check right there behind the 3, and that would happen at your club table, but not so much here on the slick felt prime conditions. Now Jason's going to be tempted for the bank shot here. We'll see. You understand maybe the thought of a two-way shot there, but I'm surprised we didn't see more speed on that bank, just because the blue 2 will slide a bit more with more speed and open up the pocket. Gonna find a little bit of a gap here maybe, and maybe a thin cut. Just like that. That wasn't hit perfectly, but it had more speed going to the pocket, which creates more slide. Now going to be a favorite on a jump shot. And I'll tell you, we have a good vantage point here of being able to see a lot of tables, and I see a lot of mistakes by Johan Chua as a big favorite in his match. Of course, we'll keep you updated, but nerves are high here early, Michael. I think he's got a piece of the pink here, but I don't know if it's potable.
You were right, JJ. Copenhagen has got one back there, so trails 8-7 now against Jeffrey Ignacio.
Jayson did have the pink, so even better on the jump to be able to hold the cue ball for that small gap between the 8 and 9. Got to run a bit. It's going to get enough. And as far as Ignacio and Copenhagen, you got to feel the pressure's probably back on Ignacio now after having a huge lead.
Well, Jayson Shaw had a pretty huge lead in this match. It was 4-0. Jefrey Roda got back into it with a couple of racks, but Shaw reasserting himself here in his characteristic fluent style. Excellent jump shot along the way, making the pot, holding position was the key to keeping this together.
Jayson Shaw wins
is
the
back
rack.
on track. He leads 5-2. Real slog going on between Dimitri Jungo of Switzerland and the young Finnish player Riku Rompainen. Jungo now leading 7-5 in that one. Torsten Homan, two-time world champion, level at 1-1 with young Albanian Kledio Kaci. Tyler Steyer, who's been doing well in a lot of tournaments over the last few months, has won the first rack against the sole Australian in the field, James Georgiadis. Ralph Souquet, the 1996 winner, one of 4 Germans to have won this championship. 5-1 up on Ahmed Al Ahmadi of Saudi Arabia. And while I update you on those scores, you can see for yourself what's going on over on table 1. Copenhagen charging back here, the 2015 world champion, looking to take it hill against Jeffrey Ignacio. Jeremy Sosai is 2-0 up on Mickey Kraus, the young Danish player who got to the last 16 of the UK Open last month.
Rack 8,
and Hunter
Jayson
Lombardo
Shaw
of the US has a
leading by
3-2
5 racks
lead
to 2.
over the champion of 10 years ago, Niels Fyen.
Well, Jayson did exactly what I thought he might. You know, you're not going to experiment during a match like this. Such a tough player he's playing, even with a little bit of a lead. But he hadn't had any success anyway, so why not change it up? He pulled the cue ball a little more in the box, added a bit more speed, a little more of a threat on the 1, but still missing the 1 every break, Michael. It's got to be a little worrisome. Now look at this. Everything kind of spread to the side cushions, except for the blue 2 and the 5 and 6. Swerve shot here. You can actually make this and follow it in, but he's hit it really well. What's going on with the pink 4 and 9 near that left middle? Don't think the kiss shot on the 9 is playable. Oh no, he's lost the cue ball. Oh my. And again, it's not
Foul
about
shot.
what you want to do. It's about what's needed. Look where the three's over the
Ball in
corner. That's
hand.
another mental error.
Please start the clock.
Well, talk about self-defeating.
Yeah, I can tell he wanted to get to the side rail to make the angle off the three a little better to maybe open the 4-9, but still, it's again more about what's necessary, I think. Yeah, I'm surprised he played it that way because draw stroke's not going to get as much speed on the cue ball, but it's obviously what he liked. Is this a little funny?
Extension called.
I like the extension here. This is obviously went for the bank, and of course we all love Jayson. We love him even more when he stays aggressive. Trying to get a little action on the bumblebee as well, the 9-ball.
Foul shot.
Well, if that shot works out, he makes the
Ball
pot,
in hand.
gets position, it's probably 6-2.
Please start the clock.
And what a momentum shifter again this could be now.
Yeah, he's wondering how he got between the 7-8 without contact and then down by the 6.
Hamza Ali of Eritrea, 3-2 up on Johan Chua, part of the Philippines team that won the World Cup in Lugo in Spain almost a year ago now. Let's have a look then at the scratches. That really were the story of the last rack, so this was really unnecessary. Gave Shaw the chance. Shaw got in. Looked like he fancied the job. Had just come with a really good shot, needed to come with another one here, made the pot. Comes round, slips past the 6. And that was his last involvement in rack 8. Another result for you, Dennis Grabo of Estonia. Real doyen of the European pool scene, has won 9-4 against Talal Al-Blushi. And will now play the winner of the match between Naoki Oi and Daniel Maciol. It was 4-0 to Maciol.
Rack 9, Jefrey Roda to break.
Japanese player got all the way back to
Trailing by
4-all, but
5
the
racks to
Pole
3.
has just got his nose in front again by winning rack 9. 5-3 here to Shaw.
better break off. He's been the better breaker of the two, not coming away with that many opening shots, though. I'll tell you, Dennis Gray, we haven't seen a lot as far as results, but did have a nice UK Open. So
Push out
good
called.
signs maybe for Dennis getting his game back, a little better form.
Jayson, it's your choice.
So big drama going on over on table one. These look like being the final moments, and it looks as though the 2015 world champion is going to complete the turnaround here against Jefrey Ignacio. As I said, he looked frustrated earlier on. Normally got such a good temperament, but he's got it back together, and this is for the match. Ho Pin Yi has beaten Jefrey Ignacio by 9 racks to 8. And the prize for that is a clash with former World Championship runner-up Roland Garcia in the next round.
Yeah, good ball placement there. It's not always about the cue ball. We're in a position there, couldn't do much with the white rock. Cue ball strategically behind the 3 and 7. Nice hit off the purple 5, and Jayson may be snookered here. And if he has a little piece of the blue 2, may elect to still kick behind it going to the short rail.
Extension called.
They said he had a very good World Masters, Jayson Shaw, in Germany back in April. Beat Aloysius Yap 9-1 and was 7-3 down to Shane Van Bonen and ended up beating him 10-8. Did eventually then go out in the semi-final.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, but I feel some frustration really creeping in with Jayson. That scratch, shouldn't be too upset about it. Besides the scratch, he hit the ball really well in that last rack, and very surprised he didn't kick behind that blue 2 there. Had to be a pretty low percentage shot trying to cut the 2 in, and I'm giving Jefrey some easy starters here in game number 9.
Yeah, just to round up what I was saying about Shaw, it was Federer Gorst, the eventual champion, who then beat him in the semi-finals of the World Masters.
What an incredible final there, and still I'll never quit thinking about that. I think with Filler breaking and running 7 racks in that final. Now it was that extended race at 13, different than early stages, but you won't, you know, any player, let alone Filler, if you break and run 7 racks in a race at 13, you usually get in the cash.
Well, this feels like a very different contest now. Earlier on, Rooda was talking to himself, shaking his head, and getting many chances, and wasn't doing much with the chances he was getting. But when we say about getting that first rack on the board, it's more than just a cliche, and he's proving that here. This is a chance to make it 4 racks out of the last 5. Really asks some serious questions. Former US Open champ.
The momentum has definitely shifted. Maybe a little fortunate at times, but Rooda definitely looks more settled in. Make it really a ball game.
Jefrey Roda is firmly on the march here, and what looked like it might turn into a landslide has now become a real contest. He's only 1 behind now. It's 5-4 to Shaw. Tyler Steyer, the American Mosconi Cup player, who's been having a decent run of it over the last year or so, has won the first 2 racks against James Georgiadis, who was part of that Australian team so heartbreakingly beaten by Austria in the first round of the World Cup of Pool in Spain almost exactly a year ago. And this is Ralph Souquet, the 1996 world champion, one of 4 Germans to have won this title. He was 5-0 up against Ahmed Al-Amadi. That one is now back to 5-2. Torsten Holm, and another German who's won this title twice, in fact. 3-1 up on Cledi Okachi. And Hamza Ali now with a 4-2 lead over Johan Chua, part of the Philippines team that won that World Cup last year.
Yeah, we were right here near that match. And Johan's made some mistakes. Now give it to his opponent. He's made some nice runs as well. But Johan's a hard one to figure, I think, Michael. He's just so super talented. And the only thing I can say, he just doesn't get out and play enough of the big events at times. I think that's the real one, and maybe plays a little nervous at first when he does. But what a fun player to watch. Probably the most, you know, if you talk about one player's performance at the World Cup, that may go down as the greatest one-player performance we've ever seen.
Just to update that Tyler Steyer match, that's now 3-0 in his favor.
This is going to expose the blue 2, and going to say that possibly the break, the ad break, could do some wonders for Jayson, maybe settling a bit. I still feel the frustration, though. Okay, you can see the problem in this rack. Now he's got to get from the purple 5 to the green 6 here in a few shots, but the brown 7 a little tangled up on the 9. But it appears it does play in the left middle, so after a 4-0 deficit, Jefrey Roda a big favorite to tie this match at 5. Gotten pretty straight. Anytime you're trying to move the cue ball, straight is not the answer. They've gotten even more than awkwardly straight. Can he get enough draw? Watch out for the black 8 coming off one cushion. Little light. And I know he's a fast player. Obviously, he's shown that in this match. But normally the pros, when they go look where they want to get on those type of shots, they rarely ever miss their mark. May go into the 7 here or use his talent just to come behind it. It's going to be enough.
Needs a bit of good fortune here. No, he's left the 6 on.
And the difference in the Racing that a lot of players don't know or maybe aware of at times, it's a little thicker slate than some other tables. That way it jumps a bit easier.
It's been such a change in Jayson Shaw's demeanor over the last half hour or so. Early on, he looked totally zoned in and focused and very comfortable and confident about what he was doing, and now he just looks very frustrated.
And really Roda making some mistakes, but getting, the game's a little, I wouldn't say totally handed back, but definitely more opportunities should be getting.
And Jefrey Roda has not been level at any stage since the start of the match. But barring something very unexpected in the next couple of shots, he's going to be now. And talking about the fact he was 4-0 down in this match, don't forget he was also trailing by 5 racks to 2. And just as we were about to say, 3 racks in a row to level the match, he left himself a little more awkward on the 9 than he ideally would have wanted. And as a result, he's missed it. Could that be the biggest moment of the match? Oh, wow.
Jayson Shaw
It was a pressure
wins the
shot
rack.
on the 9, played it with so much pace, missed it, and it's just shot across the table. Well, what an extraordinary 20 seconds or so that was all round, Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just the way Jayson cued the 9 told me he was still frustrated. I think normally if he's feeling good, he levels out. That wasn't straight, the 9 ball. Could have leveled out and just kind of smoothed it in, but good fortunate, you would say, or a lot fortunate to keep that lead.
Really good match going on table 5. Naoki Oi and Daniel Maciol now level at 6-all. We see that bit of good fortune on the 9 again. Oi was 4-0 down. He did lead 6-5, but Maciol has leveled again in that one. Ralph Souquet won rack 8 to go 6-2 up on Ahmed Al-Amadi. Mickey Kraus 3-2 up on Jeremy Sosai. It's 3-all between BJ Usri and Ahmed Zahid. And Niels Fyan, the former champion, is now 5-3 down to the American Hunter Lombardo. Well, I'm not sure, even though he won that rack, that it will have
Rack
done a
11,
great deal in
Jayson
terms of
Shaw
how he
to
played
break.
in it to
Leading
restore
by
the
6 racks
confidence
to
and
4.
belief of Jayson Shaw. But he is a couple clear again. And at last, he's made the one in the side.
Yeah, he changed positions, went to the right side or his right side of the box and has come away with a really nice shot. Not so sure it's that deserving after the fluke on the 9, but he'll take it.
And with that, he ends a run of 4 dry breaks in a row.
And really a shot on the 2 that for Jayson wasn't going to be missed, and had to ease it in to hold for the 3, but get off and going and try and get that lead. Does he have to go forward? I don't know what the problem is. Is the 5 in the way of the cue ball path? Oh, it was. So he wanted a little separation from the purple. Didn't get to watch, obviously, much of the Kopini match here and there, but obviously Jefrey settled in. Fran didn't play his best. We're seeing some mistakes from Johan Schuh, and he trails maybe 3 games now, but Jayson has started off really well and then some mistakes. So, but the outer tables is what I'm getting at. We get to see a lot of that, and I've seen pretty stellar pool out there. Maybe a bit more nerves for the main 3 tables and the players that are on it.
Yeah, Chua is 3 behind, 5-2. He trails Hamza Ali.
And he's had a lot of chances, even though his opponent has made some nice clearances. Johan's missed some safeties, a few easy kicks, definitely missed a couple balls.
And Roda has paid a heavy price for what really was only a marginal loss of position on the 9 in the previous rack. It was enough to make him miss it. Shaw had a bit of good fortune in
Jayson
potting
Shaw
the 9,
wins the
and
rack.
now in the 11th rack, the Glaswegian has produced the first break and run from either player in this contest, and he's now got a bit of breathing space again at 7 racks to 4. Jonas Suto of Spain won the first couple of racks against Wojciech Szewczyk of Poland. Mickey Kraus now taking control a bit against Jeremy Sosai. Danish player leads 4-2 in that one. Let's look in on table 1. Eklund Kachi, UK Open champion last year, up against Omar Al Shaheen, who was the beaten finalist 3 years ago. You can watch that on Matchroom Pool's YouTube channel if you want to keep an eye on that as well.
Yeah, Omar, he's talked to him a lot this week, and he's a player that can kind of surprise you at times, play different kind of speeds and around the table, sometimes get very slow, sometimes like Sufi at times, really.
Rack 12, Jayson Shaw to break,
Seems to be
leading
very
by 7
comfortable
racks
and
to
happy
4.
to be here. I expect good things from Omar.
And Kachi, a former world semi-finalist himself. 7-4 then to Shaw. Oh, well, he's made the one in the side, but not by conventional means. And look at this on the 2.
Yeah, that cue ball will get a look. It was going to go right in the side if the 1 didn't get in its path. And now look at the results behind it. Just a chip in on the blue 2 with the 3 near. Jefrey Roda, as far as getting punished on a 9-ball, he missed. A big fluke, and now possibly 2 breaking runs right after.
Dimitri Yongo of Switzerland has got it done at last against Riku Rompainen. Yongo the winner there by 9 racks to 5.
Yeah, Riku, I tell you, you're always impressed. I know he took the loss there, but Dimitri, who's shown us he can play the last few years. He's had some nice results. The Swiss, are they carrying 3 players in this event or just 2?
I think it's just 2, yeah.
Just him and Michael Snyder, I think, yeah. Really surprised we kind of lost Ronald Regli. We haven't seen him much in the last maybe year and a half. To stay off of straight here. This ball's going to slide a little bit. So again, after a missed 9-ball, and it looks like a thorough punishment to get to the hill for Jayson Shaw with a very doable 9-ball.
Jefrey Roda now facing the prospect that his missed 9 a couple of racks ago might be his last shot in this match, because he hasn't been back to the table since.
Jayson
It's
Shaw
consecutive
wins the
breaking
rack.
runs for Jayson Shaw, and the British number 1 only needs 1 more rack. It's 8-4. We're in Saudi Arabia for the first time ever for the World Championship, an event with a lot of history. It's been to a number of countries. Last year we were in the snows of Poland, where Francisco Sanchez Ruiz won it for the first time. He's cleared his first hurdle in defense of the title already this evening. And here in Jeddah, Jayson Shaw was finding things quite tricky. He was 4-0 up against Jefrey Roda and was a ball away from being pegged back to 5-all.
Rack 13,
But Roda missed the
Jayson
9,
Shaw to
Shaw
break,
fluked it,
leading by
and
8
Shaw's
racks
had
to
back-to-back
4
breaking
on the
runs
hill.
since, all of which has taken him to the hill at 8-4.
Yeah, it's 3rd or 4th dry break in this match. And
5th?
Oh, 5th.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
From looking at his break, and you've seen him do it so many times in this match now, Jeremy, the issues, whatever they are that he has with it, is it something he can go away and just do a bit of practice work on and come back better for the next match? Or is it something more fundamental than that?
Well, it don't appear like fundamental to me. I mean, maybe the speed has varied a bit at times. That always has a definite influence on the break shot when it comes to the cut break. Like I said at the opening, Jayson really has 3 or 4 breaks he kind of brings to the table in this format, and you know, he'll definitely put some more work on it. But I mean, if he gets the win, you know, most likely he won't be back on this table. And even though these are beautiful Rassin tables, and of course, you would always like to imagine them all being the same. That's just not how it is. So he may excuse it, of course, if he gets that W. Now, if he doesn't get that W, things could change, or things could be different.
Well, he would have expected if he wins, he'd play Johan Chua in the next round, and he may, yes, but the Philippines player is struggling against Hamza Ali. Chua has just got one back, though, so it's now 5-3 in that one. Talk about a clash of the generations. Kledio Kaci, the young Albanian, now 4-3 up on Germany's two-time world champion, Torsten Homan. Ralph Souquet, another German who's won this title, on the hill at 8-2 against Ahmed Al-Amadi. And that Naoki Oi match that we've been keeping a close eye on because it's been very eventful so far. Remember, he was 4-0 down, Oi. He's just regained the lead at 7-6 against Daniel Maciol. Back here on the main table, these could be the last moments, JJ.
Yeah, really, after that 9-ball that was fluked in, and again, pays to hit him, they say, and he put some pace on that 9 and found another pocket. It's been pretty good stuff from Jayson. 2 breaking runs. Not the best safety from Roda, but like Jayson should finish this match off and get a little bit of a breather here on day 1.
Well, it's all going to end quite abruptly, really. As we said, it wasn't that long ago that Roda was 1 ball away from leveling at 5-all.
This is close to a scratch. I don't know if the side is really in play, but if he puts it too much pace, maybe 1 rail in the upper right corner. Oh, it kicked a little. Should be good, though.
Jayson Shaw wins
Jayson Shaw will need to play better. He'll certainly need to break better if he's to finally become world champion for the first time. But the bottom line is he's through. He finished the match off strongly, winning 4 racks in a row to pull away for a 9-4 win over Jefrey Roda. Jayson Shaw advances.